There's a level of discipline that makes people look at you with fear. And today, you'll discover exactly how to get there. Have you ever seen that person who never fails? Who wakes up every day at the same time, does the same things, and just never stops? While everyone else gives up by the third week, they keep going. While everyone else makes excuses, they show up. And you know what people say about them? Man, that's not normal. There's an ancient system created by Zen monks in Japan that produces exactly this kind of frightening consistency. They call it Gyoji, the practice that perpetuates itself. And once you understand how it works, you'll never break a goal again. But there's a catch. This system isn't for everyone. It requires you to kill a part of yourself you never knew existed. But before I show you how it works, subscribe to the channel, like it below, and comment on the habit you most want to create in your life. This helps me a lot and shows me that you're genuinely interested in changing. Let's go. The story I'm about to tell you happened to a programmer named Rafael. Smart guy, successful career, six-figure salary, nice apartment. On paper, Rafael was winning, but he had one problem. One devastating, soul-crushing problem that kept him awake at 2 a.m. staring at the ceiling. He couldn't stick to any habit for more than 2 weeks. Gym? He'd stop after 2 months. Meditation? 1 week, and that was it. Reading? He'd buy a book, read 3 pages, and then forget it in the drawer. Learning a new language? 3 lessons on Duolingo before he convinced himself he didn't have time. The pattern was always the same. Monday, total motivation. He'd wake up at 5 a.m. feeling like Superman, ready to conquer the world. His mind painted vivid pictures of the person he'd become: fit, focused, unstoppable. Wednesday, first mental negotiation. I'm a little tired today. Maybe I'll start at 6 a.m. instead. 1 hour won't hurt. I'll make it up tomorrow. I still get points for trying, right? Friday, complete surrender. The alarm goes off. He turns it off without even thinking. The habit is dead. The dream evaporates like morning mist. Sunday, promises about the next week. Monday, I'll start fresh. This time will be different. This time I'll really commit. I'll plan better. I'll be more realistic. But Monday comes, and the cycle repeats, over and over and over again. A hamster wheel of broken promises. Rafael tried everything. Habit tracking apps with colorful streaks and achievement badges that made him feel productive without actually being productive. Reward systems where he'd treat himself to something nice after hitting milestones, except he never hit the milestones. Accountability partners who checked in on him every morning until they stopped because he kept letting them down. Motivational videos that pumped him up for exactly 48 hours before the effect wore off like a drug leaving his system. He read every book: Atomic Habits, The Power of Habit, Tiny Habits, The 5 a.m. Club, Deep Work. He could quote them all. He understood the science. He knew about dopamine loops and habit stacking and implementation intentions and the 2-minute rule. Information wasn't his problem. Nothing worked. Because Rafael was fighting something he couldn't even see, something he couldn't imagine, something lurking in the architecture of his brain, sabotaging him from the inside. Here's what Rafael didn't understand yet. Your brain isn't designed to help you grow. It's designed to keep you alive. And in your brain's ancient operating system, the same one your ancestors had 50,000 years ago, staying alive means conserving energy and avoiding risk. Every new habit you try to build is registered as a threat. Your brain sees it as unnecessary energy expenditure. Why wake up at 5 a.m. when you could sleep and conserve energy? Why go to the gym when you're perfectly safe on the couch? Why read when you could scroll mindlessly and let your brain rest? Your current patterns, hitting snooze, ordering takeout, watching Netflix until midnight, these aren't bad habits to your brain. They're survival mechanisms. They're comfortable. They're safe. They're automated. When you try to override them with willpower, you're essentially asking your tiny conscious mind to defeat millions of years of evolutionary programming. And in that battle, evolution wins. Every single time. Eventually, the question isn't whether you'll break, it's when. Rafael knew he needed something different. Something that didn't rely on willpower. Something that worked with his brain's programming instead of against it. Something permanent. That's when, at 2 a.m. on a random Tuesday, Unable to sleep because of another failed attempt at building a morning routine, he stumbled across a video about Zen monks. These monks wake up every single day at 3:30 a.m. They've been doing this since the year 1200 AD. That's over 800 years. Through wars, through earthquakes, through plagues, through everything. The bell rings. They wake up. No negotiation, no excuses, no gaps. Rafael sat there in the dark, blue light washing over his face, and thought, what do they know that I don't? The answer would completely destroy his old self and rebuild him into someone he wouldn't recognize. In Zen temples across Japan, there's a rule that seems simple but changes everything once you truly understand what it means. Gyoji. Literally translated, it means continuous practice without gaps. Without gaps. Do you understand what that means? Not just intellectually, but what it really means. Let me show you. Since 1200 AD, every single day at 3:30 in the morning, a bell rings at Gyoji Temple. And since 1200 AD, every single day without exception, the monks wake up. Not at 3:25 a.m. Not at 3:35 a.m. Exactly at 3:30 a.m. For 825 years. Through the Mongol invasions, through civil wars, through World War II, through earthquakes that leveled entire cities, through everything the world has thrown at that temple, the bell rings at 3:30 a.m. and the monks wake up. You want to know what never happens in that temple? No monk lies in bed thinking, today I'm going to skip. I'm tired. One day won't matter. The question simply doesn't exist in their minds. It's not that they have superhuman discipline. It's that they understand something about how commitments work that you don't yet. Something that will change everything once it clicks in your mind. Your brain categorizes every commitment you make into two boxes, reversible or irreversible. Reversible commitments become mental negotiations every single day. Should I work out today? I'm tired. Maybe tomorrow. I deserve rest after yesterday. Is this even worth it? What's one day? I can make it up. I'll do double tomorrow. Monday is a better day to start anyway. Your brain runs sophisticated cost-benefit analyses on reversible decisions every single time the moment arrives. It calculates the pain of doing it versus the pain of not doing it. And most days, immediate comfort wins, rest wins, tomorrow wins, later wins. Irreversible commitments, they simply happen. When you get married, you don't wake up every morning and negotiate whether you're still married today. Being married is hard today. Maybe I'll be single, just for today, and be married again tomorrow. When you become a parent, you don't debate each Tuesday whether you're still a parent. You know what? Parenting is exhausting. I'm taking the day off from being a dad. The identity changed. The decision is done. The negotiation ended the moment the commitment became irreversible. When a monk takes his vows in front of the entire monastery, when he shaves his head, when he puts on the robes, when he speaks the words in front of 100 witnesses, he's not making a promise. He's not setting a goal. He's not creating an intention. He's not hoping to become something. He's changing his identity. Right there, in that moment. He's not promising to try to meditate. He's declaring himself a meditator. The community witnesses it. The identity shifts from one state to another. The negotiation ends forever. A Harvard University neuroscientist who has been studying habits for 15 years discovered something revolutionary about public commitments and identity. When you make a behavior public, your primitive brain interprets potential failure as a survival threat. Think about it from an evolutionary perspective. Our ancestors lived in tribes of about 150 people. That tribe was everything: safety, food, reproduction, survival. If you lost status in that tribe, if you became known as someone who couldn't keep their word, someone unreliable, you could be expelled, and expulsion meant death. Alone in the wilderness with predators and hostile tribes, you didn't last long. Your modern brain, the one sitting in your skull right now, still operates on this ancient programming. When failure is private, it's uncomfortable. You feel bad. You're disappointed in yourself. But you survive. When failure is public, when everyone knows, when your status is at stake, your brain interprets this as catastrophic, as life-threatening. Your amygdala, the ancient fear center, lights up like a Christmas tree. That's exactly what Rafael did. He stopped making private promises and started making public declarations. He took out a piece of paper, not a note on his phone, not a digital document, physical paper, something real, something that exists in the physical world. And he wrote, "I am a person who meditates 20 minutes every day at 5:00 a.m. for 90 consecutive days. Not, I will try. Not, my goal is. Not, I hope to. Not, I want to. I am." Present tense, identity declaration, non-negotiable statement of fact. He signed it, he dated it, and then he took a photo and posted it everywhere. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter. He sent it to the family group chat. He told his girlfriend. He told his co-workers at the office. He told his boss. He told the barista at his coffee shop who knew his name. His girlfriend looked at him like he'd lost his mind. "Babe, you're being way too dramatic. Why does everyone need to know this? Can't you just do it for yourself?" His co-worker laughed. "Man, you're trying too hard. Just do it quietly. Why put all this pressure on yourself? You're setting yourself up to fail publicly." Perfect. Those reactions told him he was doing it right, because every person who knew became fuel for the fire. Every person who doubted became ammunition. Every skeptical look, every raised eyebrow, every "we'll see how long this lasts" became a reason to continue. Every morning he wanted to quit. He thought about having to look them all in the face, having to post online that he'd failed after 3 days, having to admit to his girlfriend again that he was just another guy full of big talk who couldn't deliver on his promises. The thought was unbearable. Day 3 brought the first real test. The alarm went off at 5 a.m. Rafael had been out late the night before at a work event. He'd gotten maybe 4 hours of sleep. His body felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. His bed had never been more comfortable. Immediately, his mind began its usual sophisticated routine of self-sabotage. "You're exhausted. This isn't healthy. Your body needs rest. Sleep is actually more important than meditation. You read that article about it. One day won't make a difference. You'll meditate twice as long tomorrow. You'll make it up. This is about health, not about ego. Successful people know when to rest. You're going to get sick if you keep this up." Every excuse felt perfectly logical. Every rationalization was backed by reasonable-sounding evidence. Every thought felt like wisdom rather than weakness. But something fundamental had changed. The thought of posting online that he'd lost after only 3 days was unbearable. The thought of seeing his girlfriend at breakfast and admitting, once again, that he'd given up. The thought of his co-worker smirking on Monday morning and saying, "How's that meditation thing going?" while already knowing the answer. The pain of quitting had become greater than the pain of continuing. His feet hit the floor. He sat down on his meditation cushion. He started his timer. 20 minutes. His mind raced like a Formula One car. His body screamed at him that this was wrong, that he should be sleeping. Every cell rebelled. But he didn't move. He sat there, present with the discomfort, present with the resistance, present with the war happening inside him. 20 minutes later, it was done. The public declaration had ended the mental negotiation about whether to practice. But Rafael was about to discover that this was only step 1. The internal war was far from over. Even with all this social pressure, even with his reputation on the line, Rafael was still waging war every single day. His body didn't care about his reputation. His body didn't care about his social media post, or his girlfriend's opinion, or his co-worker's judgment. His body wanted to sleep when it was tired. It wanted comfort. It wanted the path of least resistance. It wanted what it had always had. The public declaration had ended the question of if he was going to practice. That was settled. But he was still fighting about when. Maybe I'll do it at 6 a.m. instead, or 7 a.m., or after work, or before bed. 5 a.m. isn't magical. I could meditate any time. Flexibility is healthy. Rigidity is toxic. I should listen to my body. That's when he discovered the monk's second principle, non-negotiable hours. Every day, you waste precious mental energy on the same stupid question. When will I do this? Now or after breakfast, morning or evening, before work or after work, 6 a.m. or 7 a.m., this afternoon or tonight, today or tomorrow when I'll feel more ready. This decision burns glucose in your brain, actual measurable mental energy that should be used for the practice itself. You're wasting your fuel deciding when to drive instead of actually driving. Researchers at Stanford University found that every decision you make depletes your willpower reserves. They call it decision fatigue. It's why judges grant parole more often in the morning than the afternoon. It's why you eat healthy at breakfast but order pizza at dinner. By the time you finish deciding when to work out, you've already used up the willpower you needed to actually work out. Rafael chose 5 a.m. Not because he was naturally a morning person. He wasn't. Not because he loved watching sunrises or felt some spiritual connection to dawn. Not because some productivity guru told him mornings were optimal. He chose 5 a.m. because the world was asleep. No phone notifications, no emails, no Slack messages, no distractions. No one asking for his attention, no valid excuses. The time wasn't about optimization, it was about elimination. Eliminating every possible reason to delay, to postpone, to do it later. The first week was absolute hell. His body fought against it every single morning with everything it had. The alarm would ring and his hand would reach out to turn it off before his conscious mind even engaged. He'd lie there in the dark, his body screaming at him that this was unnatural, that this was wrong, that humans aren't supposed to wake up when it's still night, that this is causing damage. That's normal. Your body is a biological machine that works with patterns. It runs on routines. It's been running the same morning pattern for years, maybe decades. Wake up slowly, hit snooze twice, check phone in bed, drag yourself to the coffee maker, and now you're forcing it to build a completely new pattern from scratch. Of course it resists. Of course it fights. Of course it sabotages. But then, in the second week, something started to change. Day 9, Rafael woke up 3 minutes before his alarm. Day 10, 5 minutes before. Day 12, he was awake before the alarm even rang, lying there in the dark, waiting for it. His body had begun preparing for what it now knew was inevitable. His circadian rhythm was shifting. His cortisol levels were adjusting. His body temperature was starting to rise earlier. On day 14, something extraordinary happened that changed everything. The alarm rang. Before his conscious mind could even process the sound, before a single thought formed, his feet were on the floor. No negotiation, no thought, no decision, just automatic movement. His body had accepted the new pattern. The resistance ended. The internal war ceased. Here's what most people don't understand about fixed hours, what Rafael was only beginning to grasp. It's not about finding the perfect schedule. It's not about whether morning or evening is scientifically optimal for your chronotype. It's not about working with your natural energy rhythms. It's about removing time as a variable entirely. When you do something at different times every day, you're forcing your brain to make a fresh decision every single time. Should I do it now or later? Is this the right time? How do I feel? What else is happening? Maybe after this other thing? When the time is fixed, when it's locked down, non-negotiable, invariable, your brain can't argue with a constant. The question disappears, the negotiation ends, but Rafael discovered a new problem that threatened everything. His schedule was fixed, 5 a.m., every day, locked in. That was one. But he kept changing what he did during that time. Some mornings, meditation felt right. Other days, maybe some light stretching first. Sometimes he'd do a body scan meditation. Other times, breath work. Sometimes he'd read for a bit before meditating, sometimes after. His 20 minutes at 5 a.m. was happening, but the content was chaos. His brain had adapted. It had found a new negotiating point, a new crack in the armor. Instead of arguing about when, it started arguing about what. Should I do breath meditation or mantra meditation today? Maybe loving kindness feels better this morning. What about walking meditation? Is seated meditation even the best choice for my body type? 20 minutes at 5 a.m. became reliable. The time was fixed, but the practice itself was chaos. Different every day, varied based on how he felt, what seemed right, what his mind suggested. The fixed schedule had solved half the equation, but his mind was still finding loopholes to negotiate, still finding ways to maintain control, still preventing full automation. He'd eliminated the when, but not the what. And this is where Dogen's teaching on form becomes controversial, because what he taught sounds extreme to modern ears. It sounds robotic, inhuman, obsessive. He taught that you must do exactly the same thing every single day until your mind completely surrenders. Before we continue, if you're still watching, you're different from most people. Most people have already quit this video. Subscribe to this channel right now. Hit the like button. Comment below with one habit you'll commit to for 90 days. This tells the algorithm to show this to more people who need it. But more importantly, it tells me you're serious. That you're not just watching, you're changing. If you do this, I'll know you're ready for what comes next. Let's continue. You think variety keeps things interesting. You think flexibility prevents burnout. You think mixing things up makes you adaptable and prevents stagnation. But variety is actually where consistency dies. Every time you change what you're doing, your brain has to make micro decisions. Should I do push-ups or burpees today? Which book should I read next? How long should I meditate, 10 minutes or 20? Breathing meditation or body scan? Morning pages or gratitude journal? Strength or cardio? This podcast or that one? Every small decision is a crack where your old patterns leak back in. Every choice is an opportunity for your mind to negotiate. Every variation is a chance for the old you to regain control. Master Dogen, the founder of the Soto school of Zen Buddhism in the 13th century, taught something that sounds absolutely insane to modern ears. He said, do the same practice, in the same way, at the same time, in the same place, without variation, until the practice does itself. Not until you master it, not until you perfect it, not until you understand it fully, until the practice does itself, until you are no longer doing it, until it is simply happening through you. Rafael completely locked everything down: 20 push-ups, 10 minutes of meditation using the breath-counting method, 10 minutes of reading from the same book until finished, then the next book. Same order, every single day. Same book until finished. Same meditation technique, no variety, no exploring other methods. Same number of push-ups, not around 20, not 15 to 25 depending on how I feel, exactly 20. His personal ango, a term Zen monks use for periods of intensive training, usually 90 days would be 90 days of absolutely identical practice, no variation, no flexibility, no listening to his body about what felt right today. The practice was set, the form was locked. His friends called him robotic. Dude, you're like a machine now, it's kind of weird. His girlfriend said he was getting obsessed. This isn't healthy. You need flexibility, balance. You're becoming rigid. His co-worker joked that he'd turned into an AI. What happened to you? You used to be spontaneous. They didn't understand that robotic was exactly the point. Rigid was the goal. Machine-like consistency was what he was building. Because that's what works. That's what creates automaticity. That's what ends negotiation forever. The third week, his mind went to war harder than it ever had. Every single morning, it screamed for variety. This is stupid. You're not a robot. You're a human being. Humans need variety. This is unnatural. Mix things up or you'll burn out. This can't be sustainable. You're missing out on other techniques. What if there's a better way? What if this exact routine isn't optimal for you? Shouldn't you be more flexible, more adaptive, more balanced? The voice was loud, persistent, convincing. It sounded like wisdom. It sounded like health. It sounded like reason. But it was just his old patterns fighting for survival. The fourth week, something broke. Not his discipline, not his commitment, not his practice. His resistance broke. The voice of negotiation started getting quieter. The mental battles that used to last 5 minutes started lasting 30 seconds. The urge to change things up started fading. The feeling that he needed variety started seeming less important. His body was learning the sequence like a dancer learns choreography, like a musician learns a piece of music, like your hands learn to type without looking at the keyboard. By week 6, halfway through his ango, something remarkable happened. He was halfway through his push-ups before he even realized he'd started. His hand would reach for the same book without conscious thought. His timer would be running and he'd have no memory of setting it. The practice was beginning to take care of itself. The doing was happening without a doer. This is what people don't understand about consistency. It's what Rafael had missed in all those books and videos he'd consumed before. It's not about willpower lasting forever. Willpower is finite. Willpower depletes. Willpower runs out like a battery. It's about repetition until willpower is no longer needed. An MIT neuroscientist named Dr. Anne Graybiel has studied the automatization of behaviors for over 12 years. Her research on habit formation has revolutionized how we understand learning. She discovered that when you repeat an action in the same context, same time, same place, same sequence for approximately 66 days, something extraordinary happens in your brain structure. The basal ganglia, the ancient, primitive part of your brain responsible for automatic behaviors like walking and breathing, takes over. The behavior shifts from your prefrontal cortex, conscious, effortful, to your basal ganglia, unconscious, automatic. The behavior becomes automatic, effortless, inevitable. You're no longer deciding to do it. You're simply doing it. Like breathing, like walking, like blinking. Then came day 35. Rafael woke up with the flu. Fever of 102, body aches, chills, could barely stand without feeling dizzy. This is where the old pattern would have kicked in, where the old Rafael would have appeared. Sick day equals rest day. I'll start again when I'm better. Missing a few days because of illness is reasonable. Anyone would understand. Even the monks would understand. Health comes first. Every excuse was perfectly valid, perfectly reasonable, perfectly justified. Day 40 brought an even bigger test. Business travel, red-eye flight at 4 a.m., client meetings all day, hotel gym closed for renovation, no meditation space, no privacy, complete chaos. This is where the old Rafael would have surrendered. Perfect excuse, impossible situation. No one could blame him. I'll restart when I get back. This trip is the exception. You can't meditate in an airport. It's not realistic. I'll do double sessions when I'm home. But something fundamental had changed in Rafael. Something deeper than discipline. Something beyond willpower. Because he'd discovered what Dogen meant when he wrote, "Practice must continue without even a moment of gap." The all-or-nothing lie has killed more consistency than laziness ever could. It's killed more dreams than fear. It's destroyed more transformations than doubt. You tell yourself, if I can't do the full 20 minutes, why do anything at all? If I can't do perfect push-ups with perfect form, I'll wait until tomorrow when I'm less tired. If conditions aren't ideal, if the situation isn't perfect, I'll skip it and start fresh when everything aligns. This thinking creates gaps. And gaps are where your old self crawls back in. Gaps are where your old patterns re-establish themselves. Gaps are where death happens. Look at any elite athlete and you'll see something people constantly misinterpret. They have rest days. They have recovery periods. They have light training sessions. People see this and think, see, even they take breaks. Even they're flexible. But those rest days are still practice. Those recovery periods are still progress. Those light sessions are still movement toward the goal. They're intentional, strategic, planned in advance. Never because they feel lazy. Never because they don't want to train. Never because Netflix looks better than the gym. A rest day allows them to train harder tomorrow. It's recovery with purpose. It's strategic restoration. It's still movement in the direction of their goal. But when you skip because you're tired, that's not rest. That's not recovery. That's not strategic. That's retreat. Dogen used a metaphor that changes everything once you understand what he meant. A river never stops flowing. During a drought, it may slow to a trickle. During summer heat, it may nearly disappear. But it never stops. Water keeps moving, even if just a drop at a time. The moment it stops completely, it's no longer a river. It's a dry riverbed. It's just a memory of where water used to flow. It's death. Your practice is the same. The moment you create a gap, a complete stop, a full break, a day of zero, you're no longer practicing. You're someone who used to practice. Past tense. Memory. Ghost. Day 35. Rafael woke up at 5 a.m. with a 102-degree fever. His body felt like it had been hit by a truck. Every muscle ached. His head pounded. Moving seemed impossible. The old voice returned, sounding so reasonable, so wise, so caring. Rest. You're sick. Your body needs recovery. This is a legitimate medical reason to stop. Start again when you're better. Even monks rest when they're truly ill. This is about health, not ego. But Rafael had written down his pre-solution for this exact scenario weeks ago, before the moment of crisis, before the pain of the decision. If sick, 2 push-ups, 2 minutes of meditation, 1 page of reading. He rolled out of bed. Or rather, he fell out of bed. He got on the floor. He did 2 push-ups, not 20. 2. They were terrible. His form was awful. His arms shook like leaves. They barely counted as push-ups. A fitness instructor would have laughed. It didn't matter. He sat for 2 minutes, not 20. 2. His mind was foggy. He couldn't concentrate. His head pounded. He spent most of those 2 minutes thinking about how terrible he felt and wondering if he should go to the doctor. It didn't matter. He picked up his book. He read 1 page. Not 10 minutes worth. 1 page. He barely absorbed any of it. He had to reread some sentences 3 times. The words swam on the page. It didn't matter. The practice continued. The river kept flowing. The gap never formed. His streak remained unbroken, not because he was strong that day, but because he'd been smart weeks earlier when he was healthy and could think clearly. Day 40. Travel day. Alarm at 4 a.m. to catch a flight. Airport at 5 a.m. Client meetings scheduled for the entire day. Hotel gym closed for renovation. No meditation room. No quiet space. Complete chaos. The old Rafael would have said, "Impossible. Can't be done. I'll restart when I'm home." But the new Rafael had already pre-solved this. If traveling, adapt the time. Location, never the practice. He did his 20 push-ups in the airport bathroom. Yes, the airport bathroom. Between the sinks and the paper towel dispenser. At 5 a.m. while brushing his teeth afterward, people walked in, saw a man in business clothes doing push-ups, and walked right back out looking confused. Great. He meditated in the Uber on the way to his meeting. The driver probably thought he was sleeping. 10 minutes of meditation with city traffic sounds and radio playing quietly. Not perfect, not ideal, but continuous. He read on the plane, 10 minutes while waiting for takeoff. Actually got through more than usual because he had extra time. Nothing was perfect, nothing was ideal, nothing was optimal. Everything maintained momentum. This is Gyoji. This is practice continuing itself. This is what perpetual means. That's when people started to notice something had changed. Co-workers started commenting. "You seem different lately. More focused. There's this intensity about you. It's kind of intimidating, actually." Friends started pulling back slightly. "You're becoming obsessed with this routine thing. It's getting weird. You're not as fun anymore," his girlfriend's friends told her. "He seems really rigid. Is he okay? That's not normal behavior." Someone at work actually said to his face, "Your discipline isn't healthy. Normal people don't act like that. You need more balance in your life." When you hear these words, you know you're on the right track. Normal people get normal results. Normal people start in January and quit in February. Normal people have dreams they never pursue. You're not trying to be normal. You're not here to be comfortable. You're not interested in balance if balance means mediocrity. You're trying to become unbreakable. But here's what no one prepares you for. What no video mentions. What no book quite captures. The unexpected obstacles you never saw coming. The things you can't plan for because you didn't even know they existed. Your child gets sick in the middle of the night. Your car breaks down on the highway at 6 a.m. on your way to the gym. Your boss keeps you late for an emergency meeting right when you plan to practice. Your power goes out. Your internet dies when you were going to do an online workout. You get called out of town for a family emergency. Your phone breaks. Your alarm doesn't go off. You oversleep for the first time in months. These are consistency killers, not because they're impossible to overcome, but because you haven't pre-decided how to handle them. Every time an unexpected obstacle appears, you have to make a decision under stress, under pressure, under suboptimal conditions. And that decision, in that moment of chaos and uncertainty, is where you'll choose the path of least resistance every single time. Your tired brain will default to comfort. Your stressed mind will choose easy. Your overwhelmed system will pick survival over growth. The obstacle wins because you're fighting a battle you didn't prepare for. You're making it up on the spot. You're improvising under the worst possible conditions. Zen monasteries have operated for centuries without missing a single day of practice. Earthquakes that leveled entire cities around them. Wars that raged for decades. Famines that killed millions. Floods, fires, plagues, economic collapse. The practice continued. How? They don't make decisions when obstacles arise. The answer already exists. The solution was decided decades or centuries ago by masters who thought through every possibility. When the meditation hall floods, they go to the dining hall. When the dining hall catches fire, they sit in the courtyard. When the courtyard is covered in snow, they sit in their rooms. When earthquake makes indoor practice dangerous, they sit outside. There is no meeting, no discussion, no debate, no voting, no negotiation, no, what do you think we should do? The bell rings, the response is automatic. The practice continues. Rafael spent an entire evening doing something that would save him dozens of times over the next months. He wrote down every obstacle that had ever broken his consistency in the past, every excuse he'd ever used, every circumstance that had ended a streak. Then he pre-solved each one. He wrote down the exact response before the problem ever occurred. Raining, push-ups in the garage. Snowing, push-ups in the living room. Guests staying over, silent workout in the bathroom at 5 a.m. Power outage, meditation by candlelight, actually better. Push-ups need no power, reading with a flashlight. Traveling, research hotel with gym before booking, or pack resistance bands in suitcase. Hotel gym closed, push-ups in room, hallway, stairwell, anywhere. Sick, minimum viable practice. 2 push-ups, 2 minutes meditation, 1 page reading. Injured, adapt the practice, wall push-ups if floor is too hard, seated meditation if body scan hurts, audiobook if eyes hurt. Hangover, which shouldn't happen, but if it does. Same minimum viable practice, 0 excuses. Family emergency, practice in hospital waiting room, airport terminal, car, wherever you are. Flight cancelled, practice in airport. Woke up late, shortened version, never skipped version. Each scenario had its predetermined response. When X happens, I do Y. No thinking required, no deciding in the moment, no negotiating with a stressed mind, no improvising under pressure. When situation A occurs, response B is automatic. The power of this isn't just about maintaining the sequence. It's about not wasting mental energy on decisions when you have the least energy available. A Yale University behavioral psychologist who has been studying decision-making for 20 years found something critical about pre-decisions. When you pre-decide your actions before the moment of crisis, you remove decision fatigue from the critical moment. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for willpower, executive function, and decision-making, remains intact to execute rather than decide. You're not burning glucose asking, "What should I do?" You already know. You just need energy to do it. Day 70. Rafael's practice had become completely automatic, so automatic it was almost eerie. He would sometimes wake up and realize he was already 10 minutes into his meditation without any memory of starting it. His body moved through the sequence like a programmed machine, like a computer running code. His alarm would go off and his feet would hit the floor before consciousness fully engaged. 20 push-ups would be done while his mind was still waking up. His book would be open to the right page without him remembering picking it up. His girlfriend's mother came to visit for a week. Guest in the apartment, sleeping on the couch in the living room where he usually practiced. Every morning at 5 a.m., he quietly went to the bathroom. 20 push-ups in silence on the bathroom mat. 10 minutes of meditation sitting on the closed toilet lid. 10 minutes of reading with a small book light. His girlfriend's mother never knew. The practice continued invisibly. The obstacle had been pre-solved months ago. Day 90. He completed his personal Ango. 3 full months of uninterrupted practice. 90 consecutive days without a single gap. But something deeper had happened. Something that went beyond discipline, or habits, or routines, or consistency. He was no longer the same person. The man who started this 90 days ago. The man who couldn't stick to anything for more than 2 weeks, that man was dead. Someone else had been born in his place. Friends literally told him, "Your consistency is scary. The way you just show up every day, no matter what, it's not normal. It's kind of intimidating." His response was perfect. Great. Because when your discipline makes others uncomfortable, you're finally operating at the right level. When people start using words like obsessive and extreme and intense, you know you've separated from the pack. Your existence proves that everything they say is impossible is actually just uncomfortable. That's why they'll call you obsessive. Don't you think you're taking this too seriously? That's why they'll say you need balance. All work and no play, you know. That's why they'll tell you to relax. You need to learn to take days off. That's why they'll insist you're being too rigid. Flexibility is important. They need you to slow down so they can feel better about standing still. They need you to quit so they can justify quitting. They need you to be normal so they don't have to confront their own inconsistency. Here's what they don't tell you about transformation. What Rafael discovered. You become a mirror. When people look at you and see someone who never quits, they see a reflection of their own broken promises. When they watch you show up every single day without fail, they're reminded of every gym membership they wasted, every book they never finished, every goal they abandoned. Your consistency isn't scary because it's extreme or unhealthy or obsessive. It's scary because it's evidence. Evidence that excuses are lies. Evidence that "I don't have time" actually means it's not a priority. Evidence that "I'm too tired" means "I chose comfort." Evidence that transformation is possible for anyone willing to pay the price. And most people watching this video right now aren't willing to pay that price. They want the results without the routine, the transformation without the repetition, the discipline without the discomfort. But you're not doing it for them. You're not here to make them comfortable. You're not performing for their approval. You're doing it because you've discovered the secret that changes everything. Consistency isn't about doing something every day. It's about becoming someone who can't do it any other way. When you implement the Gyoji system, all 5 elements working together. Public declaration that makes failure catastrophically painful. Fixed schedule that eliminates the when negotiation. Identical practice that removes the what negotiation. Continuous practice that allows no gaps. Pre-solved answers that eliminate decision-making under stress. You're not just creating habits. You're not just building discipline. You're not just improving yourself. You're reshaping your identity at the most fundamental level. You stop being someone who tries and become someone who simply is. And when that happens, when that transformation is complete, when the old you is dead and the new you has fully emerged, people will look at you and think, "How does he do that? How does she keep showing up? What's their secret?" And the answer will be simple, profound, but simple. They don't. They are. Rafael isn't someone who meditates. He's a meditator. He isn't someone who exercises. He's an athlete. He isn't someone who reads. He's a reader. The practice doesn't require willpower anymore because it's not separate from his identity. It's not something he does. It's who he is. The question remains, are you ready for this level of transformation? And I need to be crystal clear about what this requires. No sugarcoating, no false promises, no motivational lies. This isn't about discipline. This isn't about willpower. This isn't about trying harder. This is about death and rebirth. The death of your inconsistent self. The self that makes excuses. The self that negotiates with itself. The self that quits when things get uncomfortable. The self that values comfort over growth. The self that chooses easy over excellent. That self has to die. Completely. No resurrection. The birth of your unbreakable self. The self that never stops. The self that keeps every promise. The self that terrifies others with its consistency. The self that makes people uncomfortable just by existing. The self that proves what's possible. The Gyoji system won't make you a better person. It'll make you a different person. Someone others will look at and think, "That's not normal. That's not healthy. That's not balanced. That's not human. And when you hear those words, really hear them and understand what they mean, you'll know. You'll know you've finally gotten where you want to be. Here's your choice. Right now, this moment, you can watch this video, feel inspired for 2 or 3 days, and then return to your old patterns. Most people will do this. Most people are watching this right now thinking, that's interesting. While having absolutely zero intention of changing anything, they'll go back to hitting snooze, back to broken promises, back to, I'll start Monday, back to being normal, or you can do what Rafael did. Right now, not tomorrow, not Monday, not when I'm ready, right now. Take out a piece of paper, actual paper, not your phone. Write your public declaration. Not I will try, not my goal is, not I hope to, I am. I am a person who, specific action for specific duration every single day at 2024, specific time for specific number consecutive days. Sign it, date it, make it real. Choose your non-negotiable hour, the same time every single day. No negotiations, no flexibility, no listening to your body about what feels right. Lock down your practice. Same actions, same order, same duration. No variations, no improvements, no optimization. Just repetition until automation. Write down your pre-solutions, every obstacle you can imagine, every excuse you've ever used, every circumstance that broke you before. Pre-solve them all right now while you're thinking, clearly. Then make it public. Post it on social media. Tell your family. Tell your friends. Tell your co-workers. Tell the person you're sitting next to. Make failure more painful than continuing. And then, for the next 90 days, just show up. Not perfectly, not optimally, not ideally, just continuously. When you're sick, do the minimum. When you're traveling, adapt the location. When life gets chaotic, shrink the practice but never break the chain. When everything falls apart, let it fall apart around you while you keep the practice alive. 90 days from now, you won't recognize yourself. People will ask you how you changed. They'll want to know your secret. They'll be looking for the shortcut, the hack, the easy way, the 5-minute solution, and you'll smile. Because you'll know there is no shortcut. There's only Gyoji, the practice that perpetuates itself, the practice that becomes who you are. If this video changed your perspective on discipline and consistency, if you're genuinely ready to transform and not just feel inspired for 48 hours, here's what you need to do right now. Subscribe to this channel and activate the notification bell, because the content coming will continue to transform you. This isn't entertainment. This isn't motivation. This is a reconstruction of your operating system. More importantly, tell me in the comments right now, what will your public declaration be? What habit will you implement using the Gyoji system? Write it publicly, right now, in the comments below this video. Make it real. Make it witnessed. Make failure painful. Because here's what I know about you if you're still watching. You're not here by accident. You're not watching this for fun or entertainment. You're not killing time. You're here because some part of you knows you're capable of more. Some part of you is exhausted from being the person who starts and quits. Some part of you is ready to become unbreakable. That part of you is right. That part of you knows the truth. You're capable of consistency that scares people. You're capable of discipline that makes others uncomfortable. You're capable of transformation that others call obsessive. Remember this. Write it down. Tattoo it on your brain. The consistency that scares others is the only consistency worth having. When people look at you with a mixture of respect and fear. When they whisper, "That's not normal," behind your back. When they can't understand how you do it day after day after day without ever stopping. When they start making excuses for why they can't do what you do. That's when you know you've arrived. Not because you're better than them. You're not. You're not special. You're not superhuman. You're not gifted with some rare discipline gene. You're just different than who you used to be. The old you died. The unbreakable you was born. And that transformation, that complete death and rebirth of identity, is the scariest and most beautiful thing a human being can do. If you've watched this far, thank you for your attention, your focus, your presence. your willingness to consider a different path. Now go, make your declaration, start your practice, begin your transformation. I'll see you in the next video, but more importantly, I'll see the new you in 90 days. The you that never quits, the you that terrifies others with your consistency, the you that finally kept the promise, the you that became unbreakable. Let's go.